Abid, go ahead. Jump in.
On the shell gas, you know, the hydraulic fracturing, there has been a lot of negative news about hydraulic fracturing. The other day I was having a chat with my uncle in the United States, and he had no idea about hydraulic fracturing. All he knew was, you know, it's bad. And so my question is, what are we doing to educate people about this? And suppose in case like in the countries like Poland, we have banned this fracturing, is there any other alternative to get shale gas under production with any other thing? Is there such thing, any other new technology at all?
Anwar, maybe?
I think you're right. As it is, fracking has attracted quite a negative connotation. I think as an industry, I think we got to go back to being better at engagement. Got to go engage. It's an issue that we have to deal with, but it has to be a healthy engagement where issues can be put transparently on the table and discussed openly with the various stakeholders. I know that it's very difficult to take out emotions, but you have to start with many of this engagement with what kind of standards and principles that you're going to go and follow. So I think in Shell we do have our kind of principles and standards to do with regards to shale gas and those. And I think it's again, I think maybe the industry needs to learn a bit more in terms of dealing with, I guess over the years we have, even with many ups and downs, we have not been good at engaging. We have not been, we tried, but I think in many cases we engage from what I call a cerebral part of the business where numbers, numericals play a role, whereas the other parties, NGOs, interested parties will start with a point of emotion. So I think, you know, in order for you to do that, you have to be very transparent, clear with what you do, be very clear about what you call the standards and the principles that you follow. And then you have to go through a proof point over time that that's how you're going to go and do it. I think that's something that we as an industry will have to be good at.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
So, Shale, we still have 26 minutes to go, and we have to be short because other persons have to be in the other room. Let's change the subject here a little bit. Brian, what would you do if you think again where to start in your business? Now you're getting through oil and gas and from everywhere to Oman. But if you're looking back, this is one of the questions, how would you start your career again?
Well, I don't think that that's a fair question. It's a bit like Anwar said. I mean, you know, none of us started our careers thinking this is it for the rest of our lives. When I had an offer from Shell in 1980, I was actually a research scientist in the UK, you know, in atomic physics. And my specialization was in mathematical theories and models. And so they made me this offer, and I said, what's this about? Well, I said, I'll give it a go. So in the 1st of May, 1980, I ended up in a refinery outside Rotterdam. I hadn't got a clue what I was looking at because, you know, I'm not an engineer. And I started learning. And I suppose the difference was, a bit like Anwar said, is that it just kept getting more exciting and more challenging. And the job hopping I enjoyed was going from that refinery to up to The Hague just to get a little bit of central office, you know, conformity in me, which I've fought most of my life, and then off to the Caribbean. And then it just kept going. In the late 80s, I was looking after graduate recruitment, which was fantastic, because once again I was having similar conversations with young people who said, well, you know, I don't want a career for life. I just want to be trained and developed. And I said, absolutely right. Because that's really what any good company will do, is to take young people, and it is not, you're not taking them captive, you're actually taking them to free them, to give them choice, and to let them choose. And if they choose to leave, that's their choice. But of course, clearly you would like the good ones to stay with you. And if you handle them right and with respect, that is exactly what will happen. Now, whether I was one of the good ones or the bad ones, Gert, we'll leave that for somebody else to say. But certainly, it was a very enjoyable trip. So what would I do differently? I don't know. But I will tell you one thing, and something that to me, and maybe it came from my own father, who said, you know, you take your responsibilities and you take your challenges and you do them. And then, you know, the reward follows. And that's the only little piece of advice I'd put into this discussion. Because, you know, when I talk to my own nephews or whatever else, and I ask them what they'd like to be, and they tell me this profession or that profession, and I said, why that profession? Oh, I want to make money. And I said, well, give me excuse number 2 and number 3, and they give me those. And I says, now take number 1 and put it at the back. Because the reward follows the effort and the input, yeah? And I had everything. I had the opportunity, the challenge, to make an impact on what is a strategically so important industry, you know, nationally, internationally, and everywhere else. It used to be that we dealt with governments only, and then the stakeholder, we got employees too. Then we said we have communities and we have public. Nowadays we've got thousands of stakeholders. They're on Twitter, or they're on the blogs, they're on the Facebooks, you know. It's a fantastic, it's changing all the time. So I'm excited still. I think it's great.
Is it, the question onwards is also one of the questions from the room is, people young getting in, maybe unexpected, without any choice, maybe pushed by the family. Then you have manpower or older persons are trying to get them on the job, because training on the job is also what you mentioned as a both-way structure. Is training on the job in this sense special for youngsters getting in, high potential, but still have to learn that job? Is that the way also Petronas looking to this kind of career trails?
Yeah, I think it's a prelude to the next session afterwards, where we were talking about nurturing the youth today. Yeah, so there'll be something we'll be talking about afterwards. But yeah, it's really an exciting industry actually. Not now, but even before, and that's why I've been with the industry for the last 30 years. So it's how exciting is how you make it out to be. So I moved in this career. I started off like some of us here, job hopping, but within the same company. I started as a chemist, and I've done both technical and non-technical work with the company, including being the CEO of the Malaysian Philharmonic Orchestra. How music and chemistry comes together, I think it's all about chemistry. And then landing up where I am today. So I think the company provides you that opportunity, and it's how you make use of it. So it's really very exciting, and within Petronas, and also my other colleagues in the other companies, we do provide that career progression. It's us, whether you want to do it or not. If you feel that this is not the career for you, then you have to move on. But for us, I'll be sorry to see you go, because it's really an exciting industry. It's a lot of things that can be done.
Is the award money, or is it more?
I think it's career growth as satisfaction, and for me personally, it's been satisfaction, because one of the things I wanted to do was actually to give back to society. And being where I am today, where we give scholarships, we do CSI, corporate social investment, I think that's the reward, not just the money. So that is a reward to me as well.
Even, Anwar, if you take employees all around the world with families and so on and so forth, is it still the engagement to the work, or is it also money which counts? Or is it a combination?
No, I think it's, you mean my kind of, I think if you were to think about it, I don't know, maybe when you're a graduate, you started, maybe money was an attraction. Yeah. But I think after a while, it's about what can you do with what you have? What kind of achievement, what kind of involvement, what kind of influence that you could do. It's actually different. I'm like Juni. I mean, we have a scholarship program also in Shell here in Malaysia. Every year, we actually fund about 100 students going either overseas or locals. But where I'm actually, a lot of satisfaction, almost every year I'll get that. 10% of the scholarships goes to, handicapped students. They're either deaf, blind, or sometimes with illnesses like cerebral palsy. Can you imagine being able to go and help influence the direction of their life going forward with, relatively, in terms of our investment, small investment. And I think that's where I gain my satisfaction. This industry allowed me to do that.
Thank you.